Hey everybody, welcome back. We're going to expand our current pause menu to include a main menu and a little bit of cross-navigational support between them. So just to show what we have currently, I can pause the game, I can resume, I can quit, and we want to expand that to allow us to have this level as our main menu area, and we're going to be able to expand to have a variety of representations of that as we go further into development. So let's start off by creating the main menu level, a place where we can host the main menu. So I'm going to go down to my levels, and I'm going to go to new level, and we're just going to call this main menu. Now, as I go into the main menu, I'm going to immediately want to acknowledge that I don't want to have to build a whole new scene for the space that I want to showcase. Now, the space I'm going to showcase should reflect the space I'm going to play in. If I want, I can bring that whole other level into this level without having to redesign it. And every time I modify that level, it will update this level, but this level will still have its own functionality and design to it. So I'm going to come up here to my window, and I'm going to turn on the levels pane. When I come over here to levels, you'll see that it lists my current level as persistent. So since this is persistent, that means this level will always be loaded. What I'd like to do is add an existing level. So if I come down and find my courtyard fountain, and I add that, you'll see that it brings in that whole level into this space, but it's going to bring it as a sublevel. Now with this sublevel, I want to change its loading or streaming method from blueprint to always loaded. It means that it will always be here. So if I wanted to go play inside of this environment, I can jump down and I can play right here as if it were that level, even though I'm technically in a different level. When I do that, we should notice that we're playing the game, and if this is a menu, we're not supposed to be playing the game but interacting with a screen. So we're going to need to change some of the architecture to allow this to show us the menu experience. So first thing we're going to do is go to our framework, and we're going to have to create a new game mode, a new HUD, and a new player controller. So we're going to just change some of these. We're going to go blueprint class, player controller, call it BP PlayCon MM for main menu. We're going to do another one for the game mode base, BP game mode main menu. And we'll do another one for the HUD, since we're going to be adding a menu to this. And I'll just call it BP underscore HUD underscore main menu. So we have our gameplay and we have our main menu. And now what we want to do is inside of our outliner, we have our main menu here. We're going to right click and go to world settings. And under world settings, I want to change our game mode override. It's by default going to use the project default, which we set up as our gameplay game mode. And now I can come down here and choose the main menu game mode. So that's going to be loaded, but the main menu doesn't have all the pieces that I want. So I'm going to change the HUD to the gameplay, or the main menu HUD, and the player controller to the main menu player controller. And for the default pawn class, I'm going to change that to none. Changing these here, I should notice if I go into my main menu game mode, that on the side, all of these have already been changed. So when I make a change inside of my blueprint, it's reflected inside of the world settings, and the world settings reflects backwards, just like when we make modifications inside of the project settings as well. So this is going to override. So if this level has an override, then it's going to use this instead of the project default. So with that in play, we're going to make a few adjustments. We're going to start off by putting a camera in the world to say where we want our menu to take a picture from. So let's start off right here. Looks good. I'm going to right click, place actor, and then we'll just choose camera actor. And with that camera, I want to pilot it. So I'm going to do Control Shift P, and I can pilot this camera and put it where I think would be a good spot to view this from. Let's change the FOV a little bit. There you go, much more cinematic. All right, with that set, I'm going to eject. Now, with that camera in the right place, I want to be able to reference this camera so that my player controller will start there. Because right now, when I start, I go to the world 000. My player controller doesn't have any definition of how to start, and my character or my game mode doesn't start with a default character. So I'm going to open up our player controller. When I come in here, I just need to go to my event graph, and on begin play, what I'm going to do is find actor. We'll do actor of class, get actor of class, and then we'll just set this to camera actor. And it's going to return the first camera actor it finds. Since we only have one, then that's all we need. And then we're going to use this node called set view target with blend. Here's the view target. It's going to be to the camera. And then we're just going to get a reference to self since this is for player controller. And what this should do is when we start the game, it would put our camera right to, or our player camera right to where the placed camera is. So this is a good start. So now we need to add our menu on top of this. So I'm going to go into our UI list here, and we're going to create a new widget. So I'm going to come down to user interface widget, and we're going to create a new user widget, WBP main menu. Going in here, I'm going to start by adding a canvas, and then I want to add a, we'll say a vertical box. If I can get in here, we're going to add a vertical box to the canvas, and inside of that vertical box, I'm going to add 2 of my own buttons. So I'm going to get my button here and button here. So for the vertical box, let's just place it somewhere inside of the scene. We'll have it off to the left somewhere. And then for the buttons, we're going to rename these. Button play. And for this one, press F2 to rename it, button quit. And then we're going to want to rename the text, play, and quit. All right, now I can take these, we're going to put them to the right size, and then we're going to just add some padding to distribute them, play and quit. There we go. So now that I've created this menu, we're going to make sure that we're adding it to the scene properly. So I'm going to come over to my framework, and I'm going to go into my main menu HUD. So inside of our main menu HUD, over in my event graph, I'm going to create a widget to start. And we're going to choose our main menu, and we're going to assign it to the player controller. So now that we have this, it should load that, or create that for us, and then we're just going to promote this to a variable so we can reference it if we need to later. So we'll say main menu ref, and then add to screen. So unlike the character or the player controller that we used for gameplay, where we wanted to set input mode to game only, we're also going to want to set this to UI only, input UI. And then this will allow us to reference the mouse and the cursor and all that stuff, so we don't have any hiccups with the interaction system. And if for some reason we come to this point from somewhere where they removed the mouse, we just want to make sure that we do add the mouse as well. Show mouse cursor as true. So we'll throw that in here. And the in widget to focus, if we needed to, could be the main menu. And let's see how this goes. If we go to play the game, we have the option to play and quit. No functionality working just yet, but everything's on screen the way we wanted it to. No errors. The world seems to be happy. All right, this is set up right. Let's go back to our main menu widget, and then we're going to add some functionality. To do that, remember that I need to take the buttons and make them variables so that I can reference them inside of my code. So as I compile that and go over to my graph, I now have the button quit and the button play. So if I have the button quit, from there you can recall that we set up event dispatchers inside of our default button blueprint, and so we can do button quit or button click on quit and button click on play. So for play, we want to just open a level. We'll say open level by name, and the level that I'm going to want to open, I want to get the exact name, so I'm just going to come over here, press F2 to change the name, Control C that, and then when I come over here, I can Control V, and I get exactly the right name. And for the button quit, I'm just going to use the quit command, and it's going to ask what specific player, get player controller. So this player will quit the game if they click this button. So let's test out to make sure that's still working. So play will load me into the level, and quit will quit me out of the experience. Things are looking good so far. Let's go and update our in-game menu so we can get back to the main menu from there. So we're going to go to our user interface panel, and we're going to open up our pause screen widgets. So what we have right here is the quit game functionality coming off of quit. This is not, you don't ever want to quit the game from within the game. You want to quit to the menu. So we're going to, from here, open level by name. And then we're going to change this to the same name. We can copy it back, or I can do main menu, hoping that I got the right name. So if I go play, bring up the menu, go quit, I'm back here, I can go back and forth between them, and now I have a holistic UI set up. Hopefully this gets you a starting point for expanding out the UI that we have addressed. There's a few more things that we're going to want to do with this in a later video, but I hope that this lets you go out there and keep building.